Hello and welcome to this second tutorial on Audaire's VST and audio unit synthesizer zone. In the last video I've shown you the basic view of the synth and its basic functionalities and settings here at the top and the preset browser. And today we are going to look at the oscillator section, which is located here in the middle. Zone has two main oscillators, one on the left and two on the right, as well as two additional oscillators, a sub-oscillator and a noise oscillator. These are located here and you can select them by clicking here or here for sub and noise respectively. Each oscillator can be turned on and off by clicking the on switches, which are located here and here. The sub-oscillator has its one here and the noise oscillator here. To show you the basic sounds of the oscillators, I'm going to just use oscillator 1 first. You can, of course, turn it up a bit here, as well as turning the master gain up here. And I'm turning the filter off so we can just hear the raw sound of an oscillator. So, which are the options for the oscillators? You have various control over their tune and the shape of the waveforms here. We are going to start by selecting a basic waveform for the oscillator. You can do that here by clicking on the waveform and choosing one of the over 150 wave/wavetable options here, or by importing own wavetables, which I'm going to show you as well. But for now we are just going to stick with a classic sine wave, so we can just hear what it sounds like. Pretty basic. And now I can tune the oscillator by changing the value of the tune knob. This value goes up and down 24 semitones in each direction, and you can fine tune via this button. Each oscillator can be panned by using this fader to the right or to the left, and you can change the shape of an oscillator, which is in this case turning the sine wave more into a square wave and back. Each of the two oscillators also has a master oscillator, which is not shown but in the background, so to speak. And by default it is synced to the visual selected oscillator. But you can change the sync by turning this button on and then changing the amount, and you can see with the sine wave the main oscillator and this oscillator are now out of sync, and this creates of course a different sound. Okay, so these are the basic features of the main oscillator. These are the same for the other one as well, of course. Now let's look a bit more in depth into the waveform selection window. As I've shown you, you can click on the waveform and select different ones. Let's just select another one just for showcasing the other sounds, or a kind of instrument based on several sampled instruments, let's say a double brass. There are also other options to change the waveform. You can just click with your mouse and drag up and down to switch through. This is perfect for previewing various waveforms. You can also alt-click on a Mac and change back to a sine wave, or you can command click to get to different waveforms by chance. So these are the main features of the oscillator selection. And now a quick tip just to get back to the default sound. There are two options basically. If you want to reset a preset completely by, for example, when you want to do it all over again, you can just click here on reset and then on reset again, and all this reset to the basic state of a default or an init patch. There's also the option to change various knobs, encoders, fields to their basic values, and you do that by, let's say I tune this up 11 semitones, and you hold Alt and click, and it goes back to the original state. Okay, so I'm going to mix two oscillators together now to give you an idea how that sounds. And now we can go over to the sub and noise oscillator here in the middle. So the sub oscillator can be transposed 1 or 2 octaves down by clicking on this field. So I'm just going to leave it at -1 octave and turn it on. And you can change the waveform. There are 5 different waveforms available. I'm just going to stick with the sine wave for now. And now you can turn the level up and tune the basic sine wave sub oscillator in. Same goes for noise. You can select noise here and change to the noise oscillator. You have a level control to set the level of noise in your sound and the density as well. Currently it's off, but if I'm going to turn the level up, also here you can click and drag to switch between different noise types, or you can use the drop-down menu. There are several options you can experiment with. Lastly, in the oscillator functions is this osc mod part, and this is where the real fun and weirdness also starts. You can select a kind of oscillator modulation here and mix an amount of this modulation into the basic sound you already got. By clicking here, you can see the various options. There are 2 types of frequency modulation, several distortion types, as well as ring and amp modulation. I'm just going to demonstrate this with FM. So this is the basic sound without, or maybe with a little bit of noise, sub oscillator and these 2 mixed main oscillators. And now I'm going to turn frequency modulation on. And you can see the sound changes quite dramatically. So these are the basic functions of all the oscillators. I'm just going to do a quick overview of the envelopes, 2, which are here in the middle. There are 2 envelopes in zone, an amplifier envelope and a mod envelope. They are standard ADSR envelopes and represented visually here in this window. You can switch between them via these knobs and change them to your liking. And they can not only be used for amplifier modulation or amplifier envelopes like this, but you can also use them in the modulation matrix, which we are going to look at in a future video. So these are the basics of the oscillator section, and I'm just going to end this video with a short description of how to add your own wavetables or waves into the oscillator section. You can see when clicking here on this menu and going to user, there are 32 slots in which you can drop your own wavetables. I've done it with one here, which is the AKWF from a great collection of wavetables. I'm going to unassign it for now. And there is a folder in your Finder or desktop, depending on which system you're in. On the Mac, it's in the user folder, library, application support, Audiaire zone wavetables. And you can drop your own wavetables in there if you want to. And then restart your DAW and rescan the plugin. And after that, you should be good to go, and the wavetables will be seen in Zone. Let me get it back here. And then you can assign them in the user section like so. And then you can, of course, select them via user AKF in my case and play them to your liking. Yeah, so that was my overview of the oscillator section of Zone. I hope you learned something and got a bit better in using and understanding how Zone and maybe synthesis in general works. I would love to hear back from you in the comments with questions. I'm happy to answer them to my best capabilities. And of course, if you want to learn more about Zone or hear some jams on different synthesizers, consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.